But I think a lot of times you feel like I'm creating this business, I'm building this business. I may sell it, I may not. I may have an exit strategy, I may not. But I also should be doing all these other things. But really, a business can be a pretty effective retirement plan, assuming the business goes well and doesn't tank.
I had a client or prospect come in and say, well, why would I, I could just, open up another office or open up another, branch and, have 50% margins. I'm like, that's great margins. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. The returns that you see at the small business level, those that are run well and well organized and have a niche that they've carved out, that's from a return perspective, you're not going to get much better than that.
Yeah, right.
You're just not.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Season 2 of the Little Fish Podcast, where we honor, celebrate, and learn from small business owners just like you. I am Joel Eschenbach, and glad to have you here. Today, we're going to dive into building and managing wealth, no matter where you're at on that spectrum. And we've got some amazing guys. They're truly experts, and they're the real deal. But before we get into that, I want to encourage you and ask you, if you have a business owner friend or other people that would be interested in this podcast, please share it. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube, like our videos on YouTube. Also, we're on every major podcast platform, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play. I don't know, it goes on and on, but check us out. We'd appreciate that. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Today we have Michael Demassa and Tim Videnka from Forza Wealth Management. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Joel.
Yeah, it's good to have you. And I know we were joking a little bit before, like everybody's excited about budgets and finances and getting organized, and it's just a fun topic, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, unless you're in the business, that's probably the last thing you want to do.
Right.
But it's surprising that, going into the new year, that's, it's health and getting financially organized are two of the top, New Year's resolutions. And so hopefully we learn something today, or we help a few more people today.
Yeah, for sure. It is. I mean, it's perfect timing for that. So let's go ahead and just start with, tell us about Forza Wealth Management. What do you guys do? Well, I'll let you take it from here.
So we're obviously a wealth management company.
Mm-hmm.
Our core services are managing client investment accounts. But in order to do that effectively, we really need to look at the whole picture. And so we'll incorporate the tax aspect. We'll look at the legal documents, work with a CPA, the attorney, insurance, and see if there's any insurance gaps, really to, work on the budget, which is never fun, but,
right.
Work out a total plan so that the clients will feel comfortable either working towards retirement or in retirement.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and the thing I would add too is that, functionally we're an investment management firm and we touch a lot of different areas, but I'd say the end result of what we do is providing clients with peace of mind because of, like I said, what we do touches so many different things functionally, and our core competency is investment management, but it covers a lot of areas, and then that result is clients come away with a lot of peace of mind in that area.
Yeah. When I think about it, it just seems like a lot, right? It's overwhelming. You've got your investments, you've got your, whatever IRA, you've got your 401k, you've got your savings and all your assets. It just seems like a lot of, where do I go? What do I do? Where do I start?
Yeah.
No matter where you're at, honestly, from a financial perspective.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I think it can be overwhelming, and you may find in other areas starting with the A's. Yeah. Is a good place to start. I mean, I think for us and how we operate, getting clients organized, getting them to discover what's really so in their finances is a great place to start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so they're getting organized. We've had clients they'll bring in paper statements, but now it's more like they bring their phone and they start logging in.
Yeah. Log into the bank account, log into the, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so there's, however, you do it, it does need to get done as far as getting organized and really being able to see the total picture. So, and that was one of the reasons why we, created or have that service available to our clients, where it is a financial organizer on our website, and they create their own, personal financial website, and linking in not just our own accounts that we're managing, but their banking accounts, putting their insurance there, even a place, where they can store their home insurance document. So where they can access it anywhere. In case there's an issue, we live in Florida, and so there's, hurricanes, and where's that insurance document? And so, just having a place where you can store those documents and access them.
Everything in one place. And that's called, and we'll get to that more, I think, in a little bit. That's Forza 360.
Yes,
is
Forza
the name of
360
that platform.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little more. It's like one of the things, even in the marketing world, when we work with clients, is we create a dashboard, right? And because we need to figure out where's your website traffic coming from, where's your social media traffic, pulling all that into one place so you can see it and get the baseline, and then figure out where to go from there. But let's. I want to ask you a little bit about your business. So let's talk about Forza Wealth, and let's start with kind of one of the challenges. You started the business. How long have you been in business now?
Since 2015, November 2015,
okay, cool.
Opened up the doors.
Awesome. And where were you guys before that?
We were at different companies. We both worked at the same global trust company for a few years, 2008 to 2011. Okay. We both have some varied backgrounds in the financial services for over 20 years, each of us. Mm-hmm. And, that experience at those firms, I just felt like I wanted to provide more advice, or, and I couldn't. I did a lot of research as far as which firms and which structures could provide that to the clients. And after an extensive research, I said, you know what? I think I just got to build it. Yeah. And it's really a function of the right business structure combined with the greatest or latest technology. And that's what I just didn't find out there. Yeah. And so,
you'd be surprised how other firms on the surface, you see the corporate edifice, the nice building, the posh offices, and then you, as a consumer of the product, or the service, you get into the technology, and you realize there's a big gap there between what it looks like and when you, as a consumer, what you want to do with it, or what you want to see, and how you want to operate.
So it's kind of antiquated in the technology side.
Yeah, and we're a two-man office, a two-man company, two-person company. Yeah. And I would put our technology and our capability up next to the large bulge bracket firms that are out there. We can compete with them, and I would say beat them if we get a shot based on technology.
That's awesome. Very cool. So 2015, started the company. What's a challenge that you ran into? Because we all run into them pretty quickly, right? Like, all right, we're doing this. Now what?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'd say the first year it was just kind of, I put my head down and just, I need to build this firm. From, what custodian to integrating the technology for the reporting, a contact management system, everything, with the eye that it can be scaled. And so, looking at one of the good things is that you can look at other firms that have done it before, And so we put the technology in place that, can allow us to be that $1 billion firm down the road. Where a lot of firms that, are $1 billion now are trying to, retrograde and try to fit in to the latest technology today. And it's a bigger struggle for them.
Yeah.
A lot of legacy issues.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's interesting because you see that among a lot of industries too, where the smaller companies are more agile and can move and shift quickly within the technological space, no matter where you're at. And the larger ones are having to come back and reinvent systems that they've had in place for a long time. Something to say about it's kind of the new wave of businesses like the boutique. There's a benefit to working with the small company in a lot of ways. You have that one-on-one interaction and customized.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that separates us. We're doing this to be different and to be able to showcase that in the marketplace for the clients that want to work with us. And one of the ways we do that is, like we've talked about the technology, but also we're going on over 20 years of experience, and we've been through a lot, not only market cycles, but the training and development. Our professional designations are of the highest standard. And I think in a lot of the other providers, you don't get that level of training and development directly in front of you as a buyer of the service.
Okay.
It's usually a few levels removed.
So you've got there's a middleman or somebody working with you.
Yeah, like a relationship manager, or someone who doesn't, who may not have the experience, who may not have lived through nasty bear markets and have to have managed through them. So, part of our value proposition, if you will, is removing a lot of those layers and getting directly in front of clients and having those clients be, and getting, clear that they're getting the real deal in front of them versus someone who has to go check with a manager or send an email to place a trade.
Right. So it's right straight to the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
Or from the horse's mouth. Yeah.
And also, given the experience, we've seen clients and managed clients going through different phases of their life. So whether it's the accumulation phase, whether it's the, a couple years away from retirement, and then watching them retire, and then, that is a transition as far as, giving up the paycheck and where is the income coming from now.
Right.
And managing that, that transition and making them feel comfortable about, with the market, going up and down, and, the reassurance that, yes, this plan is going to, hold up throughout your lifetime. You don't have to go back to work.
Yeah. Right.
And then, then we'll meet with clients and say, you know what, we need to start working on a distribution phase because, we want to either get this out to the next generation earlier or, plan on how do we pass this on?
Yeah.
And then and that follows through to, we've done this long enough where we've worked with the next generation too.
So people's kids.
Yeah.
So you worked with the parents for their to retirement and beyond, and then the kids come into play.
And just professionally, that's very gratifying that you've done the job with the parents that the children see value, and they may not have known all the details, but they saw something in how you worked with the parents that they wanted to continue the relationship with you. Right.
No, that's good. It's no surprise, I think, to a lot of people that, well, maybe it is a surprise. Maybe it's a popular held belief that business owners are really good with money, but they're actually not, or many of them aren't. If you look at the stats, a lot of people get into business because maybe they're really good at solving a particular problem, or they're a people person, and so finances, investments, that side of things is secondary. And so I'm interested too, and this is for me as well, is you're at this place where you're like, all right, maybe your business is at a you're starting out or you've been around for a while, but you're like, I want to start focusing more on building wealth. And we've talked about this a little bit before, but where do you start, right? I mean, I know everybody's in a different place, or maybe you have some investments here, a little, some stocks here, whatever it is, but everything's kind of all over the place. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that gets back to that, the financial organizer. Because a lot of times what we'll get when we start getting into it, and like, it sounds like, let's start up a retirement plan for you, and start funding that. But there might be a business loan that you're paying 7% on, and then we're like, well, it's probably better that you just pay that down before you start funding the retirement account.
So you think that's a better, in that particular approach, that's a better approach, or could be, than, because I know some people, people give different advice. It's like, all right, let's pay on the loan and start saving for retirement.
I think when you see the bigger picture, then, I don't think we can't guarantee returns.
Yeah.
Right. So
you can't. I was going to say that on the podcast. That was going to be
if you pay down that that 7% loan, that's a guaranteed return right there for you.
Yeah.
The market was up, over 28-30% last year, and so you would have made out. But like Tim said earlier, we've been through 50% declines, and that's not fun. When you're and they do come around. It's not that long ago we had 20%.
You'd be surprised too how when just getting organized and getting the facts and just getting the house in order, if you will, the solution to a particular problem often presents itself just by doing that. There's no, black box or magic that we perform. It's just,
right.
You get it out on the table in black and white, all of it. And a lot of times the solution, if you will, is right there in plain sight.
And there is a switch from investing in the business for more cash flow versus now it's time to start taking that cash flow and taking it out of the business and funding a retirement account or a side account.
Right.
And it just also, that discussion depends on what the long-term plans are. If the business is set up so that it's a paycheck or, it's basically you're working for the income, then there's another conversation as far as how do we, is this the retirement account? Is the business really, when you sell it, that's the retirement
That's the
fund?
retirement plan, right?
Or, and that's, so that's probably fine to, plow any extra income back into the business. But if it's, I don't know how much this is going to be really worth if I'm not there, then you need to start pulling some of that out and putting it, in a retirement fund. So I said, there's a conversation there that really needs to take place before a plan gets put in.
Yeah.
And
that's a good thought.
And I think, at times, human beings are addicted to having it now, wanting it now, having it now.
Right. More than ever. Really.
Right. And the getting to those conversations is, part of what I think we're also good at, and it's maybe the softer side of things, is developing those relationships so we can have those meaningful conversations about, okay, what is it that you really want to achieve?
Right.
And it doesn't happen, in one conversation. It's over several, in some cases, many conversations that happens.
Yeah. And there's a lot of trust there, right? Because I'm laying my finances. Somebody's laying everything out. Because once you put the finances out there, you can't hide.
No.
And to that, it ends up oftentimes not being about the money.
Yeah.
It's about something else.
Right.
And money is, finances is where we happen to enter the conversation.
Yeah.
But it ends up leading to something other than that, oftentimes.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I like the idea too that, Mike, you were saying about that investment into the business for retirement. I don't hear that a lot. I think that, and I don't know why, I'm sure plenty of people talk about that, but I think a lot of times you feel like, I'm creating this business, I'm building this business. I may sell it, I may not, I may have an exit strategy, I may not, but I also should be doing all these other things. But really, a business can be a pretty effective retirement plan, assuming the business goes well and doesn't tank. So,
yeah, and that's the active investment, and versus the passive. And
right.
so, hopefully, and I think when you become, when you start the organization process, and then you do have a solid number of, what the net income is, then there's the conversations. Well, okay, if we spend more on marketing, I had a client or prospect come in and say, well, why would I, I could just, open up another office or open up another, branch and, have 50% margins. I'm like, that's great margins. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, right. Right. That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The returns that you see at the small business level, those that are run well and well organized and have a niche that they've carved out, that's from a return perspective, you're not going to get much better than that.
Yeah, right.
You're just not.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Huh. Very cool.
And that was actually one of my times, or I think it's pretty close to the time that I gave my notice at the trust company. The CEO said that we had to focus on small business owners because that was where the next wealth creation was happening. And I go, well, why am I here?
Yeah. Well, I should be running a small business then. What am I doing? And it's interesting too that you're saying that, because it's so true. And even among like solopreneurs and people that are just doing it completely on their own, I've seen this big return to even the lifestyle businesses where some people want to scale and grow their businesses and have employees and multiple locations and all that fun stuff. But some people just want to keep their profits high, keep the work level low, or focus on what they love doing and making good money at it. And there's something to say about that. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we do see that in our industry where it's okay, let's just build it up and then sell it to a private equity firm.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why, Forza was founded and, I think Tim joined was because we're not going anywhere. We don't want to build this up to sell it. We like what we do.
Yeah. No, and we've told our clients and our prospective clients, like, look, we're not going to grow this thing and leave you behind.
That's awesome.
As in punt it and go sit on the beach or play golf or whatever.
Right.
So, that was a big, I think, for me and the clients that I had and that followed, that was important to them, that this wasn't a strategy to build something quickly and then, sell it and leave them behind.
Yeah. That's good. It's very cool. With you guys with the business, if you were to talk to yourself 5 years ago, all right, so talk to the Mike and the Tim 5 years ago, what would you say to them then, now knowing what you know?
Probably because 5 years ago I was like, do I do this or not? Because I was laying the foundation to make the leap. And it was, that first year was very trying mentally.
So you were working for the firm or you're talking about the first year when you were completely on your own?
No, like right before.
Okay, before. Got it.
So
yeah.
I had, was looking and I knew I wanted to make a change. I just didn't know what it looked like at the time.
Gotcha.
There's the join a smaller firm already established. There's the, go to another trust company, go to another bank. I had done that. It really didn't seem appealing at the time. And then it started down the path of, okay, I can't really find exactly what I was looking for. Let me see what it would take to build it. And that it wasn't just the research. It was like reading books like Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, right.
To get in that mindset that yes, you can do this. I don't come from an entrepreneurial background or family, and so I didn't tell my parents that I was leaving my safe, stable job.
Right.
That was like after the fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I get that for sure.
I remember telling my aunt what I was going to do, and her jaw hit the floor.
Really? Yeah.
It's like,
why would you do such a crazy thing? Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the words didn't come out of her mouth, but that's what she was communicating. So
I would imagine that, especially in your industry too, because you're in positions where you're making really good money. I would imagine you're in a place where you can be there for life.
100-year company.
Yeah. Right.
It's been around 100 years,
Right,
125.
Right. So it is. I mean, there is a big risk there, potential risk there. But
sure, but I think at least for me, it was, I could have that, and then maybe give up a lot of my self-expression in terms of what I really wanted.
Yeah.
And who I wanted to, partner with and do this with, if you will.
Right. Right.
That giving up that safety and that security was do it again in a heartbeat. And looking at it like talking to the Tim 5 years ago, I don't know if I would. Part of the conversation might be, well, why didn't you do it sooner? But then I may not have met Mike or reconnected with Mike when I did.
Yeah, right. Timing's everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's true. When the risk is worth it, when you feel like this is what I was meant to do. This is what I love doing. And I think that when you were even talking about you're spending this time working on mindset, I mean, the way you think about what you do, especially with a business, is everything. Getting that confidence, being like, I can do this, I've got to do the research. But you put that time in early on. You get to that point where you're like, all right, I'm ready to make the jump.
Yeah, it didn't happen overnight. It was a long process. And I'm a planner. And so, to not know everything that was going to happen was a big leap. But I think, one of the things, I was like, okay, I got to get it registered, looking at researching and getting the best partners to help with those types of things that you don't know is important. Even, before we came to you, here I was, doing the website on my own.
Yeah, right.
And, like one weekend I was like, okay, I'm going to focus on the website. And then by, say that's Friday, by Monday, I was like, all right, I think I could do something. I could put up a one page or something. And so and I said, you know what? After that weekend, I said, it's not that I'll know everything right now when I make that leap, but I could figure it out. Or I could go to somebody who has figured it out and find a solution.
Right.
I think that was, the reassurance that I needed before making that leap.
Was that similar to you, Tim? So,
and for me, I'm more of okay, I know I'm not going to know it all, so I'm going to put the time in, but I'm not going to obsess over knowing, and I'm going to get to the edge of the cliff and I'm going to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I consternate and pause too long, then I might not actually, it's like, okay, if I'm going, and I'll work. It's almost like building the plane as I'm flying.
Yeah. Yeah. Which probably makes you guys a good team that way, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I'll let the founder speak first.
No, absolutely. And
Mike's like, I can't stand that actually.
No. I think that was essential because there was other, call it portfolio managers that I was talking to, and I'm like, I don't know if that would have been the best option, because if you don't have that mindset, if it's negative and we're in tight quarters, and if one person being negative, it's going to spread. So
that's true.
And for me, it was like I'm not trying to put someone on the moon or get to the moon. Like, this has been not to minimize what it took.
Right.
It's been done before, there's, it was a matter of, okay, what I saw in Mike was, look, he's done the work, he's done the heavy lifting. Now, if I can provide something in essence of like we give each other credibility, then the 1 + 1 equals something more than 2. And I knew to, again, not being able to know everything, but I knew to some extent what I was getting into in the partnership with Mike.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too, when you talk about you're not putting somebody on the moon. It's a good reminder to think about, look, we're not dealing with life and death. As funny, no. My best friend, is an ER doctor. And so I talk to him all the time, and I'll say, it's not like it's like a life and death, but for him, it literally is. Everything he does could be a life or death experience. Yeah. But when you're running a business, most of the time, it's not. And that's a really good reminder. You're not putting somebody on the moon. No one's life's at stake. You can do this. Like, we can take the risk. We can try this. Even us, at Notion, right now we're in the midst of launching a new business model, like a new pricing strategy. And even in that, when you're reinventing yourself as a business, it feels a little bit like starting something new again. And there's that risk that you're taking, and you're like, is this going to work? I don't know. What if it fails? What if it doesn't work? You're asking yourself those same questions, but it's a good reminder, like, hey,
I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here. I played college tennis and didn't grow up in the U.S., but was able to come here because I was good enough at a younger age. And I hadn't spoken to my college tennis coach in about 20 years and had a conversation with him the other day. And I was, I had a lot of the things that he had told me along the way still stuck in my head, and I reminded him of that. And one of the things he talked about, back to the life and death issue, if a match didn't go well, he's like, well, good thing we're not gunfighters. We live to fight again. Yeah. Right. Like, you dust yourself off and move on, but you're still alive, and it's, on a net basis, it's not that big of a deal if it doesn't work.
Right. God, that's a good one. It's a good reminder all the time, for sure.
When I started in the business on the brokerage side, before you get your license, your sales licenses, I should say, they say, okay, make your list, your prospect list, your cold, instead of cold calling, which is the other option. And it was, you make your list, friends, family, network, who you're going to go after, to see who can open an account and, do business with you. And I remember making that list and then coming across it like a year or two later and going like, that was not it. Like, it didn't look anything like the client list. So having that experience early on, knowing that was not my forte, doing the cold calling and sales on the phone, more of the planning is definitely up my alley. Starting Forza, I had that list, but I also knew it will be interesting to see who comes. This is going to be a new adventure, and and it didn't surprise me that list looks nothing like the client list today.
Yeah. But that's a good thing too. That's right. You got to start with something. You got to put something out there. That happens to me with goals all the time. You put it out there. You're like, this is the goal. This is what we're after. And you've even got it broken down, and then you get 3 months into it and you're like, yeah, that's not quite the goal anymore, but it's close. And so that led me to something else and eventually turned into this. Yeah. So yeah.
I think it's, being open to, where things take you. And just, keeping that open mind.
Yeah. Well, coming back to the financial side, what you guys do, if somebody wanted to work with you, what should they do? What's your first step? Maybe I should start with that.
The first step is to, have an initial meeting. It's a get to know you type of meeting. Get to know you, get to know us, how we work, answer some of the, what is most, important, from a relationship with us. And, then it becomes more of a of a gathering of the financial statements to put together that, what does that big picture look like? So really the first meeting is more of a consultation, interview for both of us,
Right.
to see if it's, makes sense to move forward. And then it's, we'll take it from there as far as analyzing, what we get, and then start formulating a plan to put together and how it looks, to work together going forward.
Okay. And do you have a minimum, asset requirement or whatever for people you work with, or how does that work?
I mean, we don't.
Okay.
We have a stated minimum fee, and it's not a hard and fast. And
Okay.
that, we have smaller accounts that are attached to maybe larger family relationships that, it really is more of the relationship for us than it is the amount.
Sure.
Will the client see value in what we do? Will we, to some extent, get appreciated for what we provide?
Sure. Yeah.
And it's that, for me, it's that relationship that really is the more meaningful side. If we execute on our core competency and we continue to develop the depth of the relationships that we have, the amount of assets that we manage will take care of itself. It's not necessarily, about a certain number to start with us. It's about the conversation and the relationship.
It's about getting that conversation started and going from there.
Yeah, like what can we really actually do, deliver on what they're looking for. And that's the I don't want to call it courting, but to some extent, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Because we, it needs to work for both sides to make it work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very cool. And so let's come back to that Forza 360. So what we're going to do on this episode is we're going to offer free resource. Right,
yes. So the Forza 360 is a financial organizer.
Okay.
Basically, if you can log into your bank account, you could become financially organized.
Okay.
And so it's just a matter of, basically logging in, pulling in all the data. It's view only, so none of the transactions can happen, but it's one place to start gathering in every, one spot to see everything together.
So you link all your accounts into it, and then it becomes a dashboard, right? Where you can see all of the financial picture, the whole thing.
Yes.
And then from there,
if you need help with budgeting, if you need help for, just seeing, are you running in the red or are you running in the black? This is a tool that, you could use. I started using, one of the free online, softwares that, would pull everything in. Because that's the only way to really track it. As a fitness, if you're working on weight or fitness, you got the scale. And that's in a sense, the scale at the end of the day. So, and you could use it also, like I said, to store important documents on there, set privacy limits on it. So it's a great one-stop place, to pull everything in. And it will, even create your own budget for you. It'll say, based on your spending, this is your budget.
Based on your spending, you need to spend less.
No. It won't give advice.
Right. You have to do a disclaimer.
I think
the software is not the...
I think when you see the negative for the month, then you're like, okay.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah. So, all right. So as a special gift to our podcast listeners, what we're going to do is if you go to forzawealth.com/360, you get a free account. You put your name and email in, you'll get a free account to Forza 360. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right, cool. So It's a cool tool. I actually logged into it yesterday and kind of messed around with it, and it's an awesome resource. So thanks for giving that away.
Anything we could do to help, get people financially organized.
Yeah, and it's like you said, new year, get your finances in order. It's a great place to start. Well, before we finish up, I want to ask you guys, looking ahead, what does success look like for you as a business over the next few years?
Do you want to go first? You want me to
You know, it's really easy for us to put like a dollar amount on, you know, what's the assets under management. But it's really about, you know, do we have the right clients? You know, are we working with the right families? Mm-hmm. Do we have the right partners? You know, we don't want to just, like Tim said earlier, we don't want to grow just to grow.
It's like quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
Basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if we execute on our values of, you know, service and expertise and independence,
Mm-hmm.
as we state them, it isn't about a number. One way that I think that we'll be able to tell whether we're executing on that is if existing clients continue to say to their friends, hey, you need to go talk to these guys. Mm-hmm. So it's not, you know, you'll have to bury me under my desk probably, so I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not like I've got an age that I'm gonna
you're
punch out or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So, you know, I think to the extent that things continue to grow the way that they have, because, you know, Mike opened the doors with 0.
Mm. Yeah.
And was by himself for a year. And then we had a conversation and created the partnership. And so, you know, I think if we execute again on our values and deliver on those, the number and the success or whatever that'll take care of itself.
Right.
Yeah, it's for me. If I'm excited, we really like our clients.
Yeah,
okay?
that's
like
yeah, I hear you.
We like to work for them. We like to spend time with them. Mm-hmm. So success for me is more of that.
Yeah, it's like clients become like family.
Right? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, and that's, you know, the role that we are, you know, we'll be assuming for, you know, some of our clients, as far as, you know, one spouse may be the one who is the financial person, mm-hmm. you know, and the other spouse is not. Yeah. And, you know, and we have the relationship because, you know, at some point the spouse that doesn't, you know, the non-financial spouse is going to need help.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, one of the roles that we play.
That's interesting. Yeah.
You know, the success, you know, is helping more and more families. You know, that's how I view the success.
It's awesome. Yeah. I love that. Well, Mike, Tim, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate having you guys on. I love what you're doing.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
thank you.
Definitely. And don't forget, check out forzawealth.com/360 for free access to the Forza 360 platform. It's a great tool. Also, anything we can do to help you on your small business journey, shoot us a line, and don't forget to like and subscribe. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.